Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Harris, do you believe it's appropriate to analyze only the tailpipe when calculating greenhouse gas emissions?
Thank you so much for your question, Senator. I believe that electric vehicles and the tailpipe emissions from the transportation sector are a major source of toxic pollutions in the United States.
Okay, so what about the fact that that method misses significant emissions generated through the extraction of rare earth minerals in foreign countries that are needed to create EV batteries?
There have been many studies that have shown that electric vehicles today, from well to wheel, are still cleaner than compared to a gasoline vehicle.
But you haven't analyzed the need for rare earth minerals and the mining, the significant mining that has to occur. So can you confirm that lithium, cobalt, manganese, nickel, and graphite are all critical to the manufacturing of electric vehicle batteries?
Many of the batteries that are currently made today for electric vehicles do require those minerals.
Do you know which country is the third largest producer of lithium and controls 60% of global battery-grade lithium refining capacity?
I do not have that number in front of me today.
Okay, well, it's China. Do you know which country is responsible for over 50% of cobalt exports?
I do not have that number in front of me today.
It is the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Do you know which country is responsible for nearly 75% of global exports of manganese?
I do not have that number in front of me today.
It's China. Do you know which country is responsible for the most exports of nickel?
I do not have that number in front of me today.
That would be Indonesia. Do you know which country is responsible for nearly half of the global graphite exports?
I do not have that number in front of me today.
That is also China. Do any of these countries have anywhere near the stringent environmental regulations the United States has?
I cannot speak to that today.
So you don't know? I mean, you don't know whether these countries are mining in a more environmentally friendly way than the United States?
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood the question. Could you please repeat it?
Do any of these countries have anywhere near the stringent environmental regulations that the United States has?
Oh, my apologies, not to my awareness.
If climate change really is a worldwide problem, how does shifting the responsibility of mineral extraction to these countries help us reduce worldwide emissions?
Thank you so much for the question. I will say that there are many investments and incentives that are happening here in the United States to bring the supply chain to the United States.
You know, I have a rare earth mine in my state that has been trying to open for over 10 years and still doesn't have the environmental permitting to open. There is no way that the standards and the materials needed to produce and manufacture in the United States can happen in 10 years. And to ramp up the supply even in foreign countries that have far lower environmental standards, not to mention human labor standards, this is not possible to do. It's going to take 4 to 6 times more product, and then the mining of and milling of that product over a 10-year period to meet the regulatory standards that the EPA is advocating for. It's going to raise greenhouse gases all over the world, including in China, Indonesia, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. It's going to create child labor and human labor issues that are deplorable. And we're doing that all so we can provide a vehicle that costs $65,000 to the American consumer, and that if you're in an accident, you have to replace the whole vehicle because the battery can't be damaged? I mean, to me, there's really nothing about this idea that is reflective of global reality. Mr. Chairman, I would like to enter into the record this article about the gamble on critical minerals that is being undertaken with regard to this proposed EPA regulation.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you. I yield back.